all right. It's the golf locker room, people. What up? What up? How's everybody doing?
What's good, bro?
It's good. It's good.
All right, all right. Well, guess what? Let's introduce the co-host. We got my good man, everybody's favorite.
Make 'em clap to this.
To show our appreciation for your support.
Make 'em clap to this.
What up,
What's
Big
good,
Slim?
baby?
Oh man, can't call it, can't do it. What's on your mind? We gonna
Oh
go
man,
like that. We changing it up every week. What's on
switching
your
it up.
mind? And you get your intro. Since Trish did that last week, we gonna keep it up.
It's
Don't
all
hate.
good. It's all good. First of all, man, glad to be back on this Wednesday. Trish, it was great to see you up in the DC area, getting that golf in. Always. I hope you beat Desi, so I can give her a hard time. But what's on my mind today, man? We fight a lot of times for equality when we should be fighting for equity. And so I think if the aim is equity, and we understand what equity looks like, I think our plates will look better than they did once in the past.
Let's go. I like it. I like it. I like it. All right. Well, we got our star. She makes everything brighter. She makes everything a little more livelier. All right.
Hey.
Hey, it's just like that. Sometimes it bees like that. Sometimes we got Miss Clark's Golf Life, Tricia. All right, Trish.
All right. All right. So what's on my mind? So yes, I did go up there. I got to play with Miss Desi up there, and we was up in Virginia, Lansdowne, and Miss Tina Frazier. She came up and played too, and Mr. Sean Hendricks. He was celebrating his 50th birthday, so he was a gracious host. Hey. I played my very best. I touched the ball a whole bunch of times. And it really sucks when you don't have your own club. So,
Oh,
hey, that's
You
what's
ain't
on my
tapping
mind.
the clubs?
Southwest don't show me no love. Southwest don't
Oh,
love me.
yeah. All right.
Yeah, my
Yeah.
clubs didn't get to me until the next day. But hey, we still had a great time. And that's what it's all about.
No, real talk, real talk. I love it. I love it. All right, and I am MannyUp, your third host. Let's give me a little something. Everybody else got something.
MannyUp.
Oh,
Hey, Manny.
that is me. What is on Manny's mind? I don't know. I'm just excited. We started a pod, and we quickly got into a love for HBCU golf.
Yes.
A need. Just we're just so proud, and we love this game so much that we've been blessed to be able to talk and advocate and put to the forefront HBCU golf. I mean, come on, nothing's better than that. So I'm not going to go any further on that, but definitely I'm going to defer some of that until a little later because we got something special going on. And that's it. I ain't got nothing else right now. I always got something else, but just not right now. All right, Trish, let's get to the news. I have no music today.
All right. All right.
I do,
So
but I get copyright infringement. I play your hit songs, and all of a sudden I get a warning. This is not good music.
they blocking. It's okay. We're gonna figure that out.
And air horn.
Yes. So no. So no, we want to first start off by congratulating once again Willie Mack the third. So he came out to Sugarloaf, TPC Sugarloaf, and showed out, shooting minus 15 at the APGA Tour Championship presented by Lexus. And so he shot, he holed out 9 birdies over the second round. I mean, just killing it. So we just want to give a big shout out. It's definitely well deserved, and we are really looking forward, as you said, to all the great things to come for Willie Mack III.
Let's give him something. Let's give him something.
Hey, the thing is, man, I've been following Willie Mack for quite some time, and it seems like the brother is he's peaking at the right time, man, and he's putting together a serious golf portfolio right now because, the thing is, he's doing what he's supposed to do. We always talk about it as it relates to different sports, and if you play a sorry team, you're supposed to decimate them, and so he's in. He's at this level tournament and he's running through these guys, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. So
he's
big
killing
up to Willie Mack, man.
No, he's definitely killing them.
Absolutely. And he's from an HBCU.
Oh, dope. What HBCU? No.
He came from BCC. So he's from an HBCU. He played, HBCU, college golf.
Nice. Yeah, they have a highlight of his last PGA tournament, and somebody put together like his whole last round, and I'm gonna find the link and share it. It's dope though, and he was doing those baby draw stingers. That was his go-to shot during that, and hey, it was nice. They was loving him. He was playing good golf. All right, Trish.
Nice. All right, and so we also want to shout out Ashanti Epps. So she was honored and selected by the LPGA as the Southeast Section Professional of the Year Award. So that's our Ashanti Epps. We want to make sure that we shout her out. She's also the founder of a Perfect Swing Golf Youth Foundation, and she's with the LPGA professionals. We want to just thank you so much. We want to congratulate her for all that she does for, us as it pertains to the game of golf. Thank you and congratulations, Ashanti.
That's dope.
All right.
That's awesome.
That's dope. That's how we do it. That's what we do. We give flowers.
Yes.
Be encouraged while they can still be encouraged, and that's what we gonna do.
She is doing her thing. Yeah.
Definitely.
And then last but not least, we want to, on the behalf of Diamonds on the Green, and DC on the Green Youth Golf Program, we're pleased to inform Miss Kendall Jackson, and she's going to be on the call here later on, that she was chosen to receive the Art Sanjester Scholarship in the amount of $2,000, and this will go for her studies for the 2021-2022 school year. So it'll be paid directly to her. It's for the upcoming fall and spring semesters at Howard University. So we want to say thank you so much. And just a little bit about the scholarship, the Art Sanjester Scholarship. So it has come into existence through the donations from the Gerald and Candace Giving Program to the DC on the Green's Youth Golf Program and Diamonds on the Green organization. So we're just so happy. They just want to make sure that they, offer to deserving students like Kendall Jackson. They just want to help them pursue, the game of golf, and also, while they're, provide monies while they're getting their education as well.
Hey, the thing is, man, I've had the opportunity to chat with her father, Maurice, man, and I'm gonna tell you, man, that family is unbelievable. And
yes,
it's not a family of braggadocious. It's not a family of look who I am. One day I look on the book, she's playing the piano. She's always smiling. Maurice always has pleasant things to say, and they're traveling as a family, man. It's dope for the entire family to actually shine and bask in this sunlight with her going to Howard University. It's awesome.
It truly is. I had the honor of meeting Kendall almost 2 years ago. She came down to Orlando. She was playing in one of her youth events, and I got to get out on the course with her and just watch her play for the very first time. And I mean, she's just amazing. And let me tell you, one of the things that made me just fall in love with her. So I asked her, I said, so aside from golf, what do you do? This young woman told me, she says she studies and she reads her Bible. When I tell you I wanted to steal this child, but that's the thing, the foundation, like you say, the family, the Lord, their faith. I mean, it's everything. They're such a wonderful family, and she's such an amazing young lady.
All right. Well, we're gonna get her on soon. I'm gonna ask her if she's gonna do drugs. I'm just gonna ask. Hopefully, she say no.
I drink to that.
That might be a drug you want. But anyway, let's get that up. Oh, and that's it. Let's get to the show. Okay. We just gonna put it out there. We got the Howard golf team, parts of, and the head coach here, and that's just an honor and a privilege and just a treat for our guests. We're gonna start though with Mr. Rick Hyde, and we're gonna get a few questions in. He's a professor there, and he has some golf history that's very knowledgeable and entertaining. And let's see if we can bring him on. I don't see his face, but he might just be a voice, but that's all right. Mr. Rick Hyde, are you there?
I should be. Can you see me?
I cannot see you, but we can hear you, brother.
That's a problem. Hold on a second. Why can't you see me? It says I should have video.
You can't be stealing cable, Rick.
Huh?
You can't be stealing cable. You gotta pay
What's
for.
going on here?
You gotta pay, man. You
Video
gotta pay for
input. Resolution standard. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we hear you well. You got your box up, but no video. All right, I see a R for Rick, but
why won't that come on? Start video.
I see R for Rick.
It says start video, but you don't see me. So what's that about? I don't know.
I am not sure. But
camera open should be open.
Okay, Rick, we gonna
no. Okay. Video input. Let's see. Hold on a second.
Okay, we're gonna let him get it together, and guess what we're gonna do? We just gonna bring on the team, and then when we see Rick come on, we're gonna bring him right back on.
Bring him out. Bring him out.
Bring him out. Bring him out. Bring him out. There they go. There they go. There go.
Hello.
There they go. All right. All right. Welcome to the Golf Locker Room. We're just honored to have you guys here this evening, and you get to talk to our guest and let them know about your program and all the great things that's happening. Trish, you want to welcome them too?
All right. Thank you guys for coming on to the show. I'm going to just try to introduce maybe from right to left. We got Coach Sam Puryear over here. Welcome. Welcome, Sam. Thank you. We have McKenna Rodriguez. I met this young lady's parents, her young sister. They are an amazing, amazing family. And we're so looking forward to this season to come. Thank you for joining us, McKenna. And she's out of what, Palm Beach?
Yes, I am. I'm out of Delray.
All right. Awesome. And then we got Kendall Jackson over here. So she's from so she's from Texas, yes. And so she's going to be joining Howard University this year, incoming freshmen. And then we have Mr. Otis Ferguson down here at the bottom. Thank you, Otis. We are so looking forward to hearing from you all. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
No problem. Big Seth, you want to lead off?
Oh man, first of all, it does my heart good, to have back-to-back HBCUs. Last week we had Florida A&M. Now we've got, Howard University, the prestigious Howard University in front of me. And guys, I don't want to show any favoritism, but I have to go over here to my girl Kendall. Kendall, I'm so proud of you. You almost bring me to tears, but I'm not going to cry in front of the panel tonight. But I've just followed you. Your dad and I've had conversations, and you're where you're supposed to be, Coach Puryear. I think we've met before.
Oh yeah, we were on a Valentine.
Exactly, man. And you're one hell of a recruiter, man. Al Dean told me to tell you hello. But yeah, and Miss Rodriguez, I can tell you got game. Are you a freshman?
Yes, I am.
Freshman, all right, that's awesome. And Mr. Ferguson, I'm looking forward to your progress. So I'm just elated to be in you guys' presence, man. And so that's all the intro that I have for you right now. But I do have some questions later on during the show.
Nice,
Yes.
nice, nice, nice. Thanks again for you guys. Let's give them a big hand to welcome them in. So let's get right down to it. Usually we go with the students, but I think tonight let's go with the coach. Coach, you got a program going. What's on the horizon? What do you feel good about this year? How do you feel about the program this year? Just enlighten us.
Well, I think foundationally, I'm pretty excited. I mean, we built it the right way. Uh, Guys like Otis came in, he did his part, he helped lay down some groundwork. And now with McKenna and Kendall and the rest coming behind Otis, not just academically, because he was really academically astute, but now these two girls are incredible students, as well as very hardworking, fantastic golfers. So as far as I'm concerned, from building a culture, building some foundationally something that will last to perpetuity, I'm pretty excited about what we're doing right now. Secondly, if you look at our schedule, I didn't try to build an HBCU schedule. If you look at our schedule, we have one of the best mid-major schedules in the United States, period. That's pretty exciting. So that being the case, on the ladies' side, on the men's side, right now we're just trying to find the right players. If I could find a team full of Kendalls and a team full of McKennas and a team full of Otises, then we're going to be good for a long time to come. It just takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day, nor will Howard U Golf program, but I promise you it will be built.
That's right. That's
Nice.
right. Let's give a hand up for that, for sure. And a little air horn. Love it, love it, love it. Now, we can just expand on that because we're not looking for players. What was your recruiting process, and do you find it challenging to find golfers, or it was too many to pick from? How was your recruiting?
Well, I think it's pretty hard. It's kind of like, my background. I coached at Stanford, coached at Michigan State, I coached at some really good places. And unlike a lot of schools, I mean, think about this is the way I look at it. Howard is ranked 80th in the United States in News and World ranking reports. That being the case, Howard is only accepting a small percentage of students. A lot of the other schools we compete against, I mean, they're damn near letting anybody in.
Yeah.
We can't do that. So it's a lot harder because I have to sift through more students in order to find that perfect fit. So recruiting at Howard is really hard, actually. I mean, it's the same conversation we had at Stanford. I mean, we have to go after 200 kids to find those 4 or 5 in order to find that 1 or 2 that we need. Howard is the same way. I mean, we've gone after 100 to 200 kids to find that 20 or 30 in order to find that 2 or 3 that we can bring in each year. So it's a challenge, it's a task, but I trust you believe it's a blessing on the back end. Once we found them, we know we have young people that will be committed to academics, committed to athletics, self-starters, hard workers, and uniquely built and uniquely qualified to do all the things we do. It's kind of one of my mottos is when I was a kid, ABC News used to have a guy on there named Max Robinson. And Max Robinson on ABC News, and I'm dating myself in age, but he would always say on ABC News, he would say, "We are uniquely qualified to bring you the world." Well, that's kind of how I felt about what we're trying to do right now at Howard. We are uniquely qualified to bring you the best student athletes that the United States can find.
Man, that's dope, man. Coach, and the thing was, we met at Valentine, man, and we know some of the same people. And so through our conversation that day, I can tell that you don't shy away from competition.
No.
You're a no nonsense guy. So in preparation, like you said, you have one of the best non-conference. You said non-conference schedules
Right.
in the nation. So
Right.
how do you prepare these? How do you prepare your young golfers coming into Howard to say we're going to play University of North Carolina, we're going to play Stanford? How do you prepare those guys mentally for that challenge?
Well, just to show you, in our first tournament this year on the men's side, we will play against Arizona State, Oklahoma, Wake Forest, USC, Baylor, just to name a few. Texas Tech, Texas A&M. That's just to name a few. That's the first event.
Right.
Wow.
So how do we prepare against that? We find the best tournaments here in the DMV area, and we basically take on all comers. I mean, I push the men and I push the women to compete. No excuses. You tee it up, put the peg in the ground, one foot in the rough, and let's go.
Wow. Wow.
Love it.
That's
Love
a
it.
schedule too.
Woo!
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Wow.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Trish, you got something?
Yeah, so for the students, so we'll start down with Otis first, and then we'll run McKenna, then Kendall. But I wanted to ask, so how did you get introduced to the game of golf? And what made you decide to attend Howard University? Otis?
Oh yeah. So for me, I started playing for as long as I can remember. I guess when I was old enough to pick up a club, and it was just my dad played a lot, and so whether it was like him cleaning his clubs in the garage or like going out to play, like I'd just kind of be tagging along with him. And once I was old enough to actually get out and play for myself, like just fell in love with it. So that kind of led all throughout my like junior golf experience, and then into high school, and then up until it was time to decide to go to Howard. That was where it kind of for me was like I guess a trade-off, deciding if I wanted to go to Howard, which is my dream school. I have a lot of like family legacy there, and then continue to play golf.
Okay.
Dope. Seth?
Nice. McKenna?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I started playing golf when I was about 2 years old and started playing competitive golf when I was about 8. I've always loved the game of golf because my father introduced me because he used to play on the IGTA tour for a while. And I used to come to every single one of his tournaments. My uncle Maurice plays golf, and I used to watch his tournaments as well. And I grew up in the same neighborhood as Lexi Thompson. I would practice with her almost every single day. It's really fun. I played my entire life up until this point, and after my first phone call with Coach Puryear, I was automatically sold to going to Howard. The mass majority of my family on my mother's side has all gone to Howard, and I've always loved the school, and it's one of my dreams to go there.
Dope. That's dope.
Amazing. All right. And Miss Kendall?
Yes, so I started at ST of Greater Houston back in 2009. So I had just turned 6. And golf itself, or I enjoyed first tee, but at first I didn't really enjoy golf that much because it was kind of slow and kind of new. But once I got the hang of it and realized I could actually hit the ball pretty far, that's when I started to enjoy it. And then my parents started putting me in competitive tournaments in South Texas, and it was a struggle at first because everybody knows the difference between playing golf and between playing competitive tournament golf. But once I really found my footing and my stride, junior high and high school, that's when I realized, okay, I want to do this in college and beyond. And Howard, I'd always heard about it, always heard great things about it. A lot of people from my church went to Howard, but they didn't have a golf team. So we really just did not, we've never considered it until they announced they had a team. And then after that, Howard was a buzzword for my family. We were hearing it every other week. I was like, oh, I have a friend that went there. Oh, my dad went there. Like, we were just hearing it all the time. And like, it's the same as McKenna. Once I had that phone call with Coach P, I was like, I don't want to go anywhere else but Howard.
Wow.
Nice.
Dope, man.
Amazing.
Hey, I have a twofold question. One's gonna be for Kendall, and then I'm gonna go back to Coach Sam here. Kendall, how did the MAC Invitational help you? You played with and against some of the top golfers around the country. How did that help you? And Coach, you can be thinking about this question as well. HBCUs tend to not receive the funding that PWIs receive. And so how are you staying above board financially? And how are some of the other HBCUs surviving financially as well? But I'll go with Kendall first.
Yes, the MAC Champ was amazing, especially since most of the time when I go to my golf tournaments, I'm one of two, or most of the time the only African-American person there. So to see other golfers of color, not just across Texas and Houston, but across the United States, that's actually where I met McKenna at. And as soon as I met her, I was like, oh yeah, I want her to be my roommate. So we're actually rooming together this semester. So I'm super excited for that. But knowing that there are other good golfers of color out there, that was truly an eye-opening experience for sure.
Dope. Coach Sam.
Yeah, I think, the way I look at it is HBCUs. I think, sometimes we're willing to accept mediocrity on average, and I've never been in that boat. And I think in order to keep a program around in perpetuity, I think what really has to happen is I think that a lot of these programs have to come up with some nice development, business acumen, and start endowing the program. I mean, that's the bottom line. I mean, because at the end of the day, when you endow that program is going to stick around. I mean, we're not talking about a football team where you have 100 players and you have to have a $2 million budget.
Right.
You can go out through your alumni base. I mean, I look at a lot of HBCUs and say, man, if you just go after 5,000 of your alumni, ask them for $1,000 a piece. Whether they can write you a check on the spot, they can write you $100 a month. You can get the money needed to sustain your program long term. But sometimes what we fall short is we don't know, and we're in a lot of HBCU settings, we're not willing to ask tough questions. We're not willing to ask for help. We're not willing to ask the questions that show that we have a high level of vulnerability in order to maintain and manage these programs.
Right.
And I think that's part of what's been going on at HBCUs. I had a guy ask me yesterday. He said, he was talking about when we were having lunch. He said, well, when he was in school back in the 80s, Jackson State, South Carolina State had good programs. And I said, well, they don't have programs. And he had no idea. He said, are you kidding? I said, no, they don't have programs. He said, well, what happened? I said, it all boils down to funding.
Right.
So right now at Howard, our main goal is to create an endowment which will help the program last. That's what you have to have first. Then you have to have the resources to bring the people in that know how to run the program, that will be able to coach the young people and develop the young people that you bring in. I think that's the other missing element in some programs, because there are some good HBCU coaches out there, but putting it all together, having all the pieces in place, all the different cogs in the wheel, it does make a difference.
And I'll just 1 second, and I'll let the other co-hosts chime in. But the one wish for me is, and being residing in the state of North Carolina, and Coach, you have some ties here as well. But my wish is that North Carolina A&T would have a golf team. Everybody's hollering Aggie Pride, but nobody's writing those checks, like you say, to endow or to fund golf team at North Carolina A&T. And North Carolina is a great place for golf. Coach must have been like that. He left.
Nah, he just back. I'll get him back.
All right.
So McKenna, you played at the MAC Invitational?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was a cool experience.
Nice. Yeah. Talk to McKenna. McKenna, so you said you practiced with Lexi. I'm a big Lexi fan.
Yes, I practiced with her the whole duration I lived in TPC Eco Trace for about 3 years.
Dope. Nice. So you hitting the ball. Uh-huh. Yeah, you hitting the ball. You hitting it hard too. Let me bring back on the coach.
Yeah, she gave me her toe hits, how she hits off of her toe all the time. Now she used to jump at it. I was stuck on that for years.
Nice.
Give me something.
So, well, Otis, we got a question for you. So we know you were the one that spoke to Steph in regards to that, him, funding the program as is. So how did you feel at that moment when what made you even say anything when you seen him? Like, what made you even say something to him? How did you feel at that moment?
So it's funny because actually going to the event, I heard about it earlier in the day. And so I was, it was kind of like on the radar, but at the time I didn't know if I was going to actually be able to go to it or not, because I had a prior commitment, and I ended up at the last minute, being able to make it. And so I was with a buddy of mine, and I literally told him, I'm like, look, we're about to run inside real quick. I'm about to go talk to Steph, and then we could leave. I was half joking, but that was kind of my attitude when I was going in there. So when I got inside, the screening was pretty much ending or finishing up. And so I made my way down to the stage, and like when he came over like to my side of the stage, I literally was like, yeah. I was like, hey, Steph, let's get in a round of golf before you leave. And it caught his attention. So at that point, it just kind of, I guess it just kind of flowed like any other conversation.
Wow.
Nice.
Wow.
Let's move that to coach. How has that help from Steph Curry helped your team, helped your program? What
Well,
kind of infusion did that
well,
do?
I think what it has done to it, it has shown everybody that we're serious. I mean, that's the bottom line. We're serious. I mean, this is not for kicks and giggles. I mean, I'm here to coach to win. I mean, I'm not here babysitting young people. I mean, when I think of Kendall and I think of McKenna and I think of Otis, I think of three brilliant, young, beautiful, brown people that are able to excel in the classroom and on the golf course. My goal is to help inspire and change lives and give them the opportunity of a lifetime. McKenna wants to be a neurosurgeon. I mean, how does that not blow you out of the water as a coach?
Wow.
I mean, I look at it and say, now, how in the world is she going to do that and play golf? I don't know, but she's smart as she can be, and she will figure it out. I look at Otis. Otis had sisters come through Howard, parents come through Howard. Otis has graduated. He's got all his paper, but Otis says he wants to continue to be an entrepreneur and also play professional golf. There's nothing in me that says Otis can't do it. So when you're in a position to see young people try to live out their dreams, my goal is to just help foster those dreams and make dreams come true. And so having Steph as a partner in this journey shows the world that, number one, we're serious. Number two, he's going to help bring the resources, not out of his pocket, but he's going to help bring people to the table who are also interested in participating and playing a part in our success.
Nice. Let's give a hand up for that.
Hey, and you know the thing is, Coach, that couple of $100 that Dale beat me out of a couple of months ago, I'm sure he gave to Steph to give to the program. So I'm vested in Howard too.
Well, I tell you what, I'll see him on Monday and I'll tell him you said that.
You tell him I said that.
I'll do that.
Too funny.
Nice.
Trish.
All right. So Manny, if you can bring Rick back in, there's I have a question for Otis, and then Mr. Rick's going to speak to this also. So for Otis, now, so this question is for you. And in your answer, can you provide some guidance to the incoming athletes, McKenna, Kendall, and just like to give them some key pointers or whatever that made you successful, being an athlete as well as a student? Like, how did you do that life, golf, balance?
Absolutely. So first, I would say, as Coach already mentioned, you're a student first. So when I think about my experience at Howard and my experience as a Howard golfer, it's like I had 3 years of just being a student first. And so that taught me the importance of, one, establishing my relationship with God, two, establishing my goals for what I wanted to be done or what I wanted to accomplish when I finished up and graduated. And then, anything beyond that is just like kind of playing into reinforcing those two things. And so I would say, in terms of how you start to integrate that with playing, it's like, you guys have, or from experience playing for Coach, he's there to help. He's there to make you the best player you can be and the best student athlete you can be. So, take advantage of every opportunity that comes in front of you. And then, the last thing that I would say is at Howard, one thing that you will experience is just a collection of so many different minds and so many different talented people. So it's like, get an idea of what it is that you're bringing to the table that's unique, and trust it, and don't let anybody, shake you from, trying to pursue it. But at the same time, stay open-minded to how you can get there and how you can accomplish your goals. And, short of that, I think I don't know. That's really it for me.
Wow.
Nice.
I
Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So we have Mr. Rick Hyde down here. He's joined us. How you doing, Mr. Rick?
Oh, hold on. Let me. I
Can you
had
hear
him.
us?
Hold on. Hold on. I had him muted for a minute. He's back.
Got me muted. Okay.
There we go.
I had
There
some
we
technical
There we
difficulties.
go.
I
That
happen
is
to be a
good.
little older, as Sam knows. So I can't just jump on like you guys do. I had to call my IT specialist to get my camera working, which
That's
is
right.
pitiful. But what a beautiful night.
That's all right. We're glad to have you on.
Let me tell you something. We're glossing over something really quite remarkable. And I want to start with Sam. I should start with Otis, but I'm going to start with Sam. Sam came in here and in 1 year produced a team of 6 extraordinary D1 African American golfers and 5 women golfers. Okay. I've seen programs where I've heard coaches say, oh, I'm not going to do women's programs, and I haven't had anything to do with those particular programs. But I think it is a remarkable thing for this man to come in and turn around and put together a competitive D1 golf team in 1 year.
Wow.
I mean, for those of you that know anything about golf, and Mr. Sifford, are you related to the great Charlie Sifford?
Yeah, that's my great uncle.
Yeah, well, your great uncle, who Tiger credits with paving the way for his victory, born in North Carolina, like so many great athletes started as a caddy when he was 13 years old. He went on to Philadelphia, played against local African American golfers, and he became the first African American golfer to play on the PGA Tour in the 1959 U.S. Open. And I don't know if many people know all that about him, but he's won the UGA, the United Golf Association Tour Open 6 times, and he won the 1975 PGA Seniors Open. So you come from great heritage. So you probably have some idea of how great an exercise Mr. Puryear has accomplished here.
No doubt.
And to give you a little bit of an idea, one of Otis's teammates, Gregory Odom, won the PGA Works tournament this year, which qualified him for some Korn Ferry Tour events. I think he won it going away. Sam, was that by like 7 strokes?
Yeah, he won about a few strokes, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's competing on the Korn Ferry Tour. Howard is a program of excellence across the board. My father went to Howard University, undergrad, finished in 3 years, and he went to Howard University Medical School in 3 years, where he trained under Dr. Charles Drew.
Oh, wow.
And Dr. Charles Drew, is credited with blood plasma. The great irony in life is that Dr. Drew was in a very serious automobile accident, I believe in North Carolina.
He was, and they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him have his own invention.
Yeah, they wouldn't let him. The ambulance couldn't take him to the nearest hospital because it was whites only hospital. Right. And by the time they got him to a hospital where he could be treated, he had passed away. But he trained a legion of extraordinary African American surgeons, of which my dad was one. And my dad was a mass surgeon in Korea, like Alan Alda. And when he graduated, he and his friends decided to play golf back here in Washington, D.C., where all 3 of you guys are going to play. And that was in the late 50s. I was like his caddy. I caddied with the guys. I thought it was great camaraderie to see him and his friends come out and play golf. They could talk trash. They couldn't really play golf very well. They're all self-taught. But guys like Lee Elder would come along and view them. There were only 2 golf courses we could play on in DC back then, and one of them was Langston Golf Course, and the other one was down in the harbor area, which is really not too much down there anymore. None of you guys would want to play on it, but no country clubs would allow us to play. And the PGA Tour golfers like Lee Elder has in the same boat. They would come and play with my dad and his friends who were doctors and dentists and thought they could play a little bit, but they actually provided them the money to survive on the tour. And they formed a group called the Pro Duffers here in DC. Like, you know, they came up with this name, we're Pro Duffers, and the Pro Duffers now is a national organization. But it all started back then, and it allowed me to start to play golf. And, you know, I went to Princeton and played, and I was the first African-American to play in the Ivy Leagues. And that was in 1971. I played and won this tournament called the Metropolitan Schoolboy. And shot 68 was the low round, made headlines. And a lot of that came from playing with guys like Mr. Elder, because I remember him on the range. We did hit these 2 irons, and he would just carve. He would hit 10 two irons left to right. Then he would hit 10 of them right to left. And they would all land in about a 10-foot circle around one another. And, you know, I just learned a lot from playing with him, which allowed me to play on in college. Ironically, I played at Winged Foot, and I was just on another podcast not too long ago discussing the challenges at Winged Foot right now, where they're boycotting the golf course because they're honoring Trump. It's not quite surprising, because when I was on the golf team, Otis, and I played at Winged Foot, you know, I had my fro and everything else. I'll never forget just hanging around waiting to play, and some lady drove up and threw me her car keys. And I took the car keys. I was very mischievous back then. And I took the car keys and I said, you know, I should just take this car and drive somewhere. But the reality is I didn't know anything about Westchester, New York. So I just ended up taking the car keys and putting them back in the pro shop. But I shot 76 that day and beat my opponent. And I still had the scorecard somewhere around here, which is really interesting to me. But I found it quite interesting that that was 1974 when I played Winged Foot. And I credit my coach, because Sam will appreciate this. Back then, most of the courses that Princeton played on, very prestigious courses, but they were all segregated courses. They were all no blacks at all allowed. How he pulled it off that I could play in some of these places was quite remarkable. So fast forward to just a year or so ago, I meet this guy, Sam Puryear, and instantly we chatted. Instantly we became friends. Instantly I became a fan and an ardent supporter. Then I meet this young man called Otis Ferguson, and I have him out to my club, where he instantaneously, in the space of 1 round of golf and after lunch, hosted by one of my white friends, became beloved by the whole Argyle Country Club community, because of his outstanding personality, his acumen, and he's a true legion of Howard University in the greatest sense. And that's why I wanted you to add me, because these 2 men I know very well. These 2 young ladies I've heard of. And I welcome you to Howard University. I teach sports law, but you don't want to take my class until like your 3rd or 4th year, because we have to write a thesis and research papers, and you need to do some other things before that. But it's a nice course to take. You'll hear about it. And welcome to the university. Welcome to Washington, D.C. I thank Tricia for getting me on the podcast. She stumbled across a great friend of mine, Mr. Larry Shipp, down in Florida. Larry and I went to high school together. And I told Tricia that when he was in high school, he was the 3rd fastest hurdler in the country in high school, behind Willie Davenport, who held the world record. So I thank you for letting me speak my little piece.
Trish and Sip, I think Rick is underselling himself, because I will say he's been incredibly instrumental to me as a coach, as a developer. I mean, I'm basically trying to build skyscrapers. Each young person is a skyscraper. I'm trying to build a city in Northwest DC, which is Howard Golf. And I tell you what, Rick has been incredibly helpful. He's helped me navigate the waters, because I mean, there are some sharks in the water. people have put charm out there in front of to eat us up. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Rick has helped keep me away from the sharks. I mean, so he's helped put things in place that have helped us with practice, that have helped us meet people, that has helped us with support. Color is not an issue. I mean, it's about the young people, and to me, Rick is truly a friend. And I mean, to me, this is that village that you heard about your whole life.
Right. And you know, the thing is, Sam, every great hero has to have a great foe. So you being at Howard University building that program, you're gonna have some foes because you're doing extraordinary work. And my thing to Brother Hyde, it does my heart good that someone on campus um, is able to give a historical narrative of what golf once was in terms of the pioneers who paved the way for Otis, McKinney, and Kendall. And see, that does my heart. That lets me know Howard's in a good place. And Mr. Hyde, I tell you what, man, it's a beautiful thing that you're there because it should be a prerequisite for these young African American golfers matriculating into an HBCU institution to know the groundwork that was paved before they even got there, man. Big ups to you, man. Big ups.
Chris, I'll tell you a quick tidbit. So many years ago, magazine paid me to do an article, and they said, I need you to go out and interview Charles Sifford. And they said, he just seems bitter. We need you to go do an article on this man. And we want to understand what's the problem. So I'm a young guy. Like I'm 21, 22, whatever it is.
Right.
And I know I can write. And I said, you know what? In Winston-Salem, we held the Vantage Championship. And I go up on the range and I see Dent and I see all the great legends. And I go up to Mr. Sifford. I said, hey, Mr. Sifford, I said, I introduced myself. I said, the one question that the magazine really wants to know in order for us to write this piece, they said that you are a really bitter guy. Is that true? And like you right now, he had a cigar in his mouth. And he stopped hitting balls and he turned and looked at me. He said, bitter, what the hell you think? You would be bitter too if you went through half the stuff I went through. And that's when I realized, honestly, that's when I really realized that all the stories I'd heard about James Black and Charlie Sifford, and I had met Mr. Elder and all the Teddy Rhodes stories, at that point I realized they had already paved the way for the rest of us.
Right.
Absolutely.
They had paved the way, and for too many of us, we're so willing and so accepting of someone else's words without what Rick just did. Rick just gave us a brief narrative on history based on what you just said. And McKenna and Kendall and Otis and the rest of these young people need to understand that history in order, when they get older, be able to understand the narrative so they can set their record straight when they're 30 and 40 and 50 years old.
That's it.
Don't let them step in my class, Sam, because they'll have to learn all this stuff.
Good.
You know, your uncle's first attempt to play was the 1952 Phoenix Open, where he was invited by the world heavyweight boxing champ Joe Louis. And in that tournament, they called him all kinds of names, threw his ball, walked it. You know, they had a rule back then, wherever the ball lied, you got to play it. So these white guys went out and threw his ball up in the trees in the bush on 2 holes, and he had to play it from there. But he went on, he won the 1967 Greater Hartford Open and the 1969 Los Angeles Open. He was a true champion, and he had every reason to be, whatever, you know, a little edge to him, okay, whatever you want to call it, you know, hey, you know.
But that's what I was telling, but you know, Manny always opens up the podcast with what's on your mind. And so I don't know if you guys were on or Manny had you in the green room, but I always talk about we should never look for equality. We should always look for equity. The aim should be equity. And I'm sure with you know, Sam Puryear in the lead, his leadership, he's going to teach these young people what equity means. You know, equity, not equality, but equity.
You want to know equity. So I'm following this young man, Otis, on the 9th hole at Argyle. He hits the ball so far. He didn't hit it particularly straight on the shot. He went way right up by the shed somewhere. So I'm going up with Otis, and I'm looking at what his options are. And I was like, so, which, Otis, can you think you can cut it around? Oh, no. I'm hitting the 9-iron. I'm like, dude, you got to hit the 9-iron like 180 yards up a hill over that 50-year-old tree. No, I'm in here. So good. Let me see. Damn if he didn't do it. I said, what is your ball? I'm playing a Callaway. I said, well, I think it's right here, and you're going to hit over and through. Okay, go for it. Yeah. And he did it. So
that's right.
Sam said this man can do anything. He can talk Steph Curry. And he's not really setting the stage. This was a crowded event. Steph wasn't even there. I think he was there. What was he there for, Otis? He wasn't pitching.
He executive produced.
That he and his wife were doing, yeah.
He executive produced the film. It was Emmanuel, and after they had a panel discussion. So he came out once the panel discussion began, and he was answering questions about the film and what it meant.
Yeah, and you engaged him. Somehow you got his attention from the crowd.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier.
According to him, it was, you said something about, hey, you want to play some golf? And he turned, he said, what? You want to play? Yeah. So he goes and somehow starts chatting with, bends down and he's like, the casual thing that most of these guys say, give me a number, give me a call, I'll play it. Somehow he says, I got a call from this young man. First thing he was impressed with, how did he get my number? And after that, you were able to persuade him to participate with Howard University. And I think that that's an extraordinary story in and of itself.
Thank you.
Very, very, very. Oh, all right. Trish, Sif?
Yes, I do. So I have two things. So one is going to be for Coach, and one is going to be for Rick Hyde. So Coach, if you could have the top 3 things to make your program absolutely great for your athletes, what would those top 3 things be aside from money?
Right now, having a facility to where it's an indoor-outdoor facility where, regardless of the weather, I had overhead heating. I have garage door bays that can come up and down. We can spend as much time, the guys, girls can go in there, whether we're studying, hitting balls, putting, chipping, the whole 9 yards. Short game inside, short game outside. I love ping pong tables and video games. I have all that in there. The first purchase I've made at every school I've ever been at is a video game system and a ping pong table. So Kendall, McKenna, trust me, that's coming. Let me get my space. That's coming. Promise you that's coming. That's coming. So that would be number one. I mean, and at the end of the day, just having an opportunity to compete against the best teams in the country, because when Kendall and McKenna, 30 years from now, they're going to sit back with their families and their friends. And when they take these trips up to the vineyard, they're going to be sitting back talking about playing golf against some of the best caliber players in the United States. Those days are coming. I mean, those are my top 2. I mean, if we can do that, and then my third thing, which is more so not me but them, is that they get a holistic experience and they enjoy it. And when they leave and they become successful in their own footing, that they turn around and say, you know what, hey, they call me Coach. Hey, I just made $1 million in investments. I want to go ahead and build something in for the Howard Golf program. I want to give back. Those are the 3 things that I think will take the program to the next level. Otis is the first. And so Otis is now graduated as the first. So now when Otis makes that first fat chunk of change, I already told Otis, if he don't call me, I'm stalking him. Otis, I need a check.
That's right. Hold them accountable.
Hold them accountable.
Yes.
Accountability is key.
That bread got to come back home at least a little bit.
Yes. Yes. And then Rick, lastly, so for you, so being the first to play collegiate golf at an Ivy League school to where you are right now and being a professor at Howard University, what tidbit of wisdom would you give Otis, Kendall, McKenna, the athletes coming into to the golf program and leaving the golf program?
Well, I think like all golfers, I think the beauty of golf is that it's an individual sport, and it's you against everybody else. There's no purple, green, orange, black, blue, white. It doesn't really matter what color you are, what color the other people are. Just like Mr. Sifford found out, just like Pete Brown found out, who was the first African American to win a tour event, which was the 1964 Waco Open. You focus on one shot after the other. You focus on yourself. You keep your head in the game, and you will win. And golf is a great sport because I played on the basketball team at Princeton too for 2 years. I can't play basketball with my guys anymore. We had to stop that about 5 years ago. My knee gave out, but I still play golf and I still play competitively. And it's a lifelong sport. And beyond just whether you make the PGA Tour or not, the captain of my golf team at Princeton is a guy named Stu Francis. Well, guess what? Stu is head of the president of the USGA right now. Stu's a member at Spyglass Country Club. He's a member at San Francisco Country Club. He's a member at Pine Valley Country Club. Those are three of the probably most prestigious courses in the United States. Stu averaged, he went out after Stanford Business School, and I think he worked in tech finance. And I know that for about 10 years running, he was written up for making like 15 million a year or more. He was winning that club for 10 years or so in a row. Wow. But golf puts you in an environment like Otis found when he could sit at the table with very distinguished men from all over the place and just impress people. And what he doesn't realize is that by impressing people, not only does he impress people with himself, but those guys, remember Otis, how Edrin got a couple of job offers for the summer?
Absolutely.
Just off of he's a little more reserved of a fellow. Edrin is a fellow that Sam somehow got from Uganda. Okay. And the boy can play golf.
Oh, yeah.
He's from Uganda.
I know him. Yeah. He's a bad boy.
You know him. Yeah. Okay. Well, he's an incredible golfer. I did not know golf existed that much in Uganda. I knew it was in the Ivory Coast. But if you're put in business settings, if you can play golf, you get invited to all kind of cool stuff. Yeah. You see this little shirt I have on here? I got invited to join this little country club called Congressional.
Wow.
Where it's hosted many U.S. Open, many PGA events. And you know why it happened? Not because I'm a professor at Howard University, not because I went to Princeton, because I played golf.
Right.
And I'm good. And if you're good, you get invited to a lot of stuff. Okay? You
Let's
don't
get
even
that
have
up
to play
good.
on the PGA, okay? You're invited to a whole lot of stuff that other people can't get into but you, because you can play. And I think that's true now. I used to think it was just true for men, but I think those barriers have come down. I know Pine Valley now has women members. I know, Sam, I don't know. I mean, most of these courses now have women members, and that opens the door for corporate board memberships. That opens the door for transactional opportunities that you can't even dream of right now. Okay, you have at your stage at Howard, you can't even dream of it. But all you have to do is get there and comport yourself in the same way that your older statesman, Mr. Ferguson, did when I watched him do that at Argyle. Sam and I were sitting there watching the whole thing, and you'll be fine in life. And golf allows you to do that, and it's a unique sport. Basketball doesn't do it. I do basketball. I represent basketball players. Okay, I represent professional football players. Music doesn't quite do it. Stevie Wonder's one of my clients since the Martin Luther King National Holiday Movement. In 1980, I've represented him since that time as his personal lawyer. Golf is unique, and it's a unique ticket in America to a variety of different things for African Americans, and you have an opportunity. So seize it and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, man.
I would just like to add to that that question one earlier to the freshman, and also what Professor just said here, which is like, as you're establishing yourself as individuals, and that's a big priority as you go off and, you know, start college and you're on your own. While you're at Howard, understand that you have a whole entire tribe, a whole entire village, a whole entire community, like, there for you and there for anything that you need. And that, like, as much as you want to establish yourself and establish what you want to do as an individual, that you can do so much more when you realize the support system that you have there for you.
Dope, man.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's
All right.
You know, and Coach and Mr. Rick Mr. Hyde is absolutely right, man. I had a gentleman tell me 20 years ago when I started playing golf. He said, "You have no idea where this game will take you." He said, "Especially if you're good." And I got to become, you know, pretty decent. And I played with, Sam knows the circles that I run in. And so I played with guys all over this country, and, you know, it's unbelievable the ride that this game of golf will give you. But I want to ask Mr. Hyde, and then I want to go to Coach Sam, and then I want to finish with Otis. So Mr. Hyde, in your tenure as a golf guy and also a professor, and it's going to be the same question for you, Mr. Sam. What's the best compliment you've gotten from one of your former students or one of your former people or persons that you've tutelaged over the years? And not to be emotional, but what was the compliment that you got that almost made your heart melt?
I think the compliment, and it's not been just one student, but in my class, I point out to all my students that I teach at Princeton University as well, and students at Princeton are required to write a thesis to graduate, and it's scrutinized, footnotes have to be correct, arguments have to be built, and I point out to my class that this is your competition when you graduate. This is the competitive pool. So you're going to write a thesis too, except it's going to be an independent research paper. So we can do a couple of things. I can treat you, I can write an exam, and we can sit for 3 hours and I could write a whole bunch of stupid questions, only to be followed by me having to read 40 stupid answers to my multiple stupid questions for 3 hours. But we can do something more interesting and engaging where you'll find a topic within sports law that interests you, and you will write a thesis about it. You will pursue it, you will research it, you will build an argument, and it's not a report. You're not in high school, so I don't want you to tell me, oh, this happened, that happened. We know what happened. I need you to build arguments pro, arguments con, and come with it. Well, what that shows is much of our student body, probably 95% of our student body, is competitive with any other university in the nation. I compare it to Princeton, which I have to say is the #1 school in the nation. But there's a 5% that sometimes reveals in that exercise some challenges where somehow some of our students have been able to talk their way through without being able to write an essay or an exercise, without syntax challenges, without grammatical challenges. And you find it a lot of the times more in men than women. At risk of sounding sexist, I think the women mature a lot faster than us men. I know in my particular case that's true. I think I just matured a few years ago, and I'm 67 at this point. So, but most women are grounded, they're ready to go. But you've got guys that they got all kinds of things. They get girls to write papers for them. They this, they got all, like, I don't know all the tricks. But at some point you say, you know, at some point that's got to catch up with you. And what I did is that I created an environment where we can, once I identify a writing problem, we can quietly work on this. You know, it's an embarrassing situation. We got to be able to do it. You got to be able to read and write in this society. I don't care what you're doing, particularly when you come out in higher education. And I will work with you privately, and we're going to make this happen, because that's what we have to do in our African American community. We have to help one another. We have to. I've been helped. Everybody gets help. I've had one young man who went on to be very prolific. And matter of fact, he was writing film scripts, and he told me, you know, Mr. Hyde, if you hadn't gotten on me and made me do this exercise over and over again, you know, I would never be where I am today. And he thanked me, and I still work with him. I had the young man, Chadwick Boseman, was in my first class in 1998 at Howard University, studying sports law. And I had two of his students, one of his classmates, still reaches out to me today to talk about the impact that I had on the three of their lives by making them go through the exercise of rolling up their sleeves, research, writing, and footnoting, and building arguments. Whether I'm a lawyer, so you have to do it by trade as a lawyer, but if you're a business person, you have to convince clients, you have to build arguments, and nobody cares what you have to say or what somebody has to say. You have to find some other doctrine or some other learned source that supports your thesis. So the fact that I was able to do that for some people, and the fact that I've had that come back to me, have been blessings that served me well and have kept me teaching this course for about no money since 1998. I don't teach at Howard for money. I teach there because I love the school, I love the students, and I love what I do. And it keeps me young, because they're young, beautiful, extraordinary minds who I almost needed to call Otis to get his extraordinary mind to help me turn this camera on. But I called my partner, who's an IT guy, while you guys were like, what is wrong with this thing, Ricky? We all need help in our different ways, but that's what I would have to say.
That deserves a clap, Manny. That deserves a clap.
And some air horns. Let's go.
Coach Sam.
Yeah, I think, you know, one thing I've been told by a lot of my former players, that to me, I took it as a huge compliment. I say, Coach, you never cared about being liked by your players, but we also recognize that you were literally always available for us. They could text me or call me at any time, and they know that I was incredibly transparent. I told them the truth, and I was there for them. To me, to me, that's probably the biggest compliment I could have from young people, because I wasn't there. I don't need 17, 18-year-old friends. Yeah, and I don't want any right now. But I am going to help you be. I am going to help you be a better person.
That's right. That's right.
And I had the one question for Otis. Hey Sam, I still have some eligibility too.
Hey, trust me. Hey, I'm taking talent, baby. I'm taking talent.
But Otis, man, I know that you look to have a professional career. So what's your game plan? What's the template?
Yeah, so for me, after competing for Howard, I think that was a really important season, I guess, for me, just to understand what goes into committing yourself to playing, you know, full time, and committing really yourself to the lifestyle, you know, that we're kind of seeing is really necessary to play full time or play professionally. And so for me, really, I'm in the phase of, you know, getting a strong, you know, support system as far as coaching and, you know, just a system that I can kind of stay in to develop myself and continue to, you know, improve as a competitor.
Okay.
Nice,
That's awesome,
nice,
man.
nice. All right.
McKinney. And Otis, I'm gonna let you do your thing. I just want to finish up with those guys and I'm done.
Okay.
Kendall and McKinney. So you're looking at a guy who matriculated into an institution that was on academic probation his first semester. My mom was calling and saying, "What's going on up there?" So, what's your first order of business as you matriculate into Howard University? What's your first order of business academically and athletically?
I want to make sure that I have a proper routine and schedule when I get there. I want to make sure that I acclimate myself properly, find a proper library, study habits, hopefully a quiet place I can work on a golf course, preferably because most of my classes are online. I can sit work at the golf course and play golf back and forth, so I can better myself in both ways. And I really hope that I continue that for the next 4 years.
I think you got it. Kendall.
Same here, knowing how to manage my time, especially running on a block schedule. Because for me, ever since kindergarten all the way to high school, I've had the same classes every single day. But for college, it's going to be, oh, you don't go to the same classes every single day, or you finish at 11 o'clock. So getting used to that and knowing, yes, I have free time, but knowing how to manage that time wisely. So I have time in between classes. I can either exercise or do more studying or golf, depending on how much time I have. And just really knowing how to manage my time, because I know, especially coming from here, I mean, I'm from Houston, but I live in suburbia Pearland, and getting used to living in a city and everything. So just getting used to everything getting thrown me at all at one time. But the biggest thing is just managing my time.
Man, that's awesome. Whatever's in your musical portfolio right now, you can throw it away, because when you leave DC, you'll be listening to go-go all your life.
Hey, Chris, it's not a real talk. It is nothing better than old school Chuck Brown going down Georgia Avenue.
PCS.
Hey, I'm trying to tell you, man, old school Chuck Brown. I'm dating myself again with Junkyard Reds and the boys, Essence, EU. They'll get it. They'll get it.
They'll get
Well,
it, man.
I have to tell you guys, all those guys have been my clients over the years. I mean, particularly EU, I still have song credits on doing the butt, you know.
Nice.
Chuck Brown was one of my clients. Reds and the Boys, EU, all the go-go artists at DC are unlike a lot of my rap clients I work with. That these guys are consummate musicians. I mean, there's a big band. They're extraordinary musicians.
Right.
And unfortunately, they like to keep it real, and the songs are 20, 30 minutes long, and it's hard to get radio play, but it's an extraordinary city. We have 7 major universities, as Otis will tell you. There's every country that we have diplomatic relations with within our 10 square miles. There's an embassy with at least 100 to sometimes 2,000 employees, which means there's restaurants from all around the world and all cultures. U Street is jumping at all times. When you say it, one of my great clients, Mark Barnes, have been down to Park. I'm sure you've been to Park. It's just a rich place. And what I think Otis hit on it a little bit, but I want to emphasize to both Kendall and McKenna, who I hope to get to know much better. Get to know your classmates. It's an interesting thing. I start off my classes every year with, I make everybody introduce themselves and where they're from. And many of them are upperclassmen. They don't know one another. Mm-hmm. You kind of might want to know one another, because that's part of this whole exercise. Don't be afraid to reach out and be somebody's friend. And don't be afraid to help somebody, because you have a lot to offer.
Chuck Brown always said that was one of his songs. I'm not afraid. Come on,
tell me about it. That's bless his heart. I have on Sam, next time I see you, one of my last voicemails on my phone was a message from Rick. Yeah, he wanted to get together with. They all were like Stevie Wonder. That's how I could do entertainment law from DC, because representing Stevie Wonder, everybody wants to work with Stevie Wonder. I get with Steve, and we want to do this, we do that. And sadly, Chuck passed away about a month or so after that request. But I still have that. I keep that on my voicemail. One of my other clients passed away not too long ago, Mr. Bismarcky.
Yeah, but this is gonna be a fun exercise, Rick. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, man.
I'm excited for McKenna and Kendall. to come to campus. I mean, I laugh about, I mean, Chris, you bring up something great about the music, but it's just the culture of the place. That's what makes Howard unique. I mean, we could talk go-go all night. My cousin actually still sings backup for one of the bands to this day. So at the end of the time, I'm excited for all
Probably know him.
I'm sure. I'm excited for all the young people to come
I
here.
used to write the checks, so I was very popular.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's a great time for Howard. Thank you guys for inviting us on the podcast. We're trying to change lives. We can't do it alone. As far as I'm concerned, now that you guys have invited us on, hey, you guys are part of the Howard Bison family, and we want to keep you engaged and keep you around and keep the door open so you can constantly follow the progress of the young people, because they will change the world one day. They will change the world. I promise.
That's facts.
Absolutely.
Man, when I make that trip, man, we got to tee it up when I come up.
Hey, piece of cake.
My man.
So we gonna end with the best. Let's end with the ladies. Ladies have some parting words. Us men, we've been running our mouths. Let's let the ladies end the show. What y'all got? What you got to tell us? Or what you excited about? What you're nervous about? Any questions? You got your coach, you got the professor, our oldest who graduated, need some tips. Anything you guys want to part with, it's on you.
I'm just happy to put my passion and perseverance to the test when I get to DC on the 14th. I'm super excited because I get there on my birthday, and I would love to meet Coach for the first time in person and play a round of golf. I'm so excited. And it was wonderful speaking to all of you guys. And Kendall, I hope to be best buds with you for the next 4 and for the rest of our lives as well.
That was nice. That was nice. Kendall, what you got for us?
Yes, same here, McKenna. I'm looking forward to rooming with you. The biggest thing I'm nervous about is that cold weather, because I am from Houston, meaning anything less than 40 degrees is too cold. And same as terrain, everything here is flat. I was at the U.S. Girls Junior last month, and we played Columbia Country Club. Oh my goodness gracious, the elevation was absolutely ridiculous. So freshman 15, we're about to lose 15 pounds with all the walking and all the hills. But I'm super excited, super blessed, and I just cannot wait to get things going.
All right, there we go. You get all that one. We're going to give you some of that too. All right. I think that's going to end it. Trish, you got parting words. We're going to let the ladies
I just want to thank you all for coming on, joining us, just sharing again, Coach Hyde, you expressing, your experience and everything that and sharing with the kids, the athletes, some wisdom for them to be successful in their career. Otis, thank you. We look forward to supporting you as well in your endeavors. Coach Puryear, thank you so much for joining us as well. We look forward to the great things that you're going to do with these athletes. And ladies, thank you so much. Y'all are going to be amazing. We're going to watch you. You have a family. When Otis said that you have a village, you have a family, you have us. And we hope to bring more support to the HBCUs, especially Howard University. So thank you.
That's right.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. It was our honor. You just don't know how much you enlighten our guests and the viewers that watch, because they want to be involved. They want to know information. And we just don't have outlets. Like Coach was saying, you have not because we have not. And we don't think that ASAP. And we're going to start asking. We're going to start showing. And more importantly, we're going to start supporting. And on that note, you can find us on all podcasts. Remember, anybody watching right now, please look at the bottom of that ticker. It's a direct link, so you can give to the Howard Golf Team. Any donation is great. Look at the link, put it in our show notes. It will be clickable, so you don't even have to remember the link. You can just go to our show notes, click the link, and you'll be right at their website to give to this great organization. Keep this thing going. And on that note, we are out.
Oh,
thank
you. Make sure you
Let's go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.